Welcome to the Nebraska Department of Education Nutrition Services Training for school staff working with the bookkeeping aspects of the school meals program. This training will focus on required USDA record keeping. In this training, we will focus on why certain dates are important in the school meals program, how to navigate the Nutrition Services website, specifically the Forms and Resource section. We will gain knowledge of the importance of attachments A through L and the permanent agreement, and we will review other USDA school meal program requirements. With any program you participate in, there are important dates to be aware of. This slide illustrates where you can find information on the Nutrition Services website on important dates for the school meals program. You can also download a printable PDF of the important dates. The start of the program year for the school meals program is July 1st, and the ending date is June 30th. In the online version of important dates, you will find links to various web pages and forms. The next section on the Nutrition Services website under the School Meals program that I want to bring your attention to is Forms and Resources. By clicking on this link, you are taken into the Forms and Resource Center. Most of the important information and forms you will need to know can be found under the tab Forms and Resources. This section is divided into three sections, the first being Administration, Record Keeping and Finance, followed by Food Service and Nutrition, and ending with Regulations and Policy. We will be discussing in detail the first section, Administration, Record Keeping, and Finance. After clicking the Administrative Record section, the following screen appears that contains information sorted by alphabetical order of topic. Within each heading will be additional information such as forms and supporting information on the topic. We will start our review with attachments A through L and permanent agreement. When we click on this link, there are numerous topics and attachments under the header. We will be discussing some of these topics in more detail as we progress through the training. We will start with the permanent agreement and free and reduced price policy statement. The permanent agreement, free and reduced policy statement is an agreement between each school food authority and the Nebraska Department of Education Nutrition Services. This agreement states all USDA school meals, rules, and regulations will be adhered to. This permanent agreement, once signed by the school food authority's authorized representative, is kept on file at Nutrition Services. A copy of this agreement must be retained at the school food authority. A new permanent agreement, free and reduced policy statement is only necessary when USDA issues changes to the school meals program rules and regulations. The next topic under the permanent agreement and attachments A through L we will be discussing is meal counts and claims. Under this topic, we find information on counting meals and various attachments pertaining to meal counting. Meal counting is of utmost importance as the school food authority is receiving federal reimbursement for meals served to eligible students that meet program requirements. To be eligible for reimbursement, school staff must accurately count meals served to students by eligibility category at the point of service and record these counts on a daily basis. A point of service meal count is defined by regulation as a meal count taken at that point in the food service line where it can be accurately determined that a reimbursable free, reduced price, or paid lunch and/or breakfast has been served to an eligible child. It is important to note the point of service meal count must be taken after all food components in required portion size, as required by grade grouping, have been served offered to the student. As the determination is made the student has a reimbursable meal, They are then counted by category of free, reduced, and paid. A daily total of each category is required for each meal. The majority of school food service authorities utilize software programs specifically designed for counting and compiling this meal count information. For those that do not utilize a software system, a manual system is used. An example of a manual system would be marking a daily student roster at the point of service. Once the daily count of free, reduced, and paid students has been determined, this information is then entered into Attachment J. This form is provided as a printable form or as a spreadsheet available to be downloaded. As we take a closer look at the top portion of Attachment J, the Daily Record of Meals Served and Edit Check Worksheet, this form requires the name of the feeding site and month meals were served. The form is completed for each day of the month with the daily counts recorded for paid, free, and reduced meals served. The total of each category, paid, free, and reduced for the month is then recorded. The form can also be used for counting special milk if this is a program the school food authority participates in, and for tracking adult meals. Adult meals cannot be claimed for reimbursement, but must be recorded. The bottom section of Attachment J is the required edit check. This section is completed before submitting information in the CMP system. The form serves as a double check of accuracy in claiming numbers. If the school food authority is using a software system for meal counting, it may have the capacity of completing the required edit check. Not all software systems have the edit check feature. If yours does not, then the edit check information must be completed manually. Let's take a look at the information that is required for the completion of the edit check. Days served refers to the number of days in the month that meals were served for each meal type. Enrollment is the number of students that are enrolled for the feeding site that have access to meal service. Average daily attendance is calculated by taking the total of each day's attendance at the feeding site and dividing by the number of days meals were served. It is important to always round up when referring to number of students. For example, if our average is 102.25, we must round up to 103, as it would be impossible to have 0.25 of a student. The attendance factor is the average daily attendance divided by enrollment. Letters E, F, G on the form is where the highest number of students eligible for free, reduced, and paid meals in the month is recorded. If a student changes categories during the month, they should be counted in both categories. So, for example, John Jones is eligible for reduced meals at the start of the month. The household submits a new income eligibility application later in the month. The determination is made John is now eligible for free meals. He would be counted in both the reduced and free counts. As we move on down the form, we see the required edit check portion. We have already determined the attendance factor and the highest number of students approved by eligibility from above. From this information, we determine the attendance adjustable eligibility. The information in the box instructs us to check for two different things. The first being not exceeding the highest number of free, reduced, or paid eligible students on any day of the month. The second check is comparing the attendance adjustable eligible count for each eligibility category, paid, free, and reduced, to the daily meal counts. If the number of meals claimed in the category exceeds the count for attendance adjustable eligible students for the day, that count must be circled identified, and the reason for the discrepancy must be documented either on the page or on the printout from the software company. A more common reason why the attendance adjustable count may be exceeded on a particular day could be students in a particular category may be in attendance and choosing to eat because it is a favorite meal. This is an example of a completed daily meal count and edit check worksheet. Notice the small asterisks by August 20th. This is a day when both the paid and free meal count exceeded the attendance adjusted eligible counts. Upon review of why these counts were higher, it was determined a favorite student meal had been served. Because the information from the meal count form is used in submitting the claim for reimbursement, it is important to know how to submit the claim. Under the Quick Link tab on the lower left-hand side of the Nutrition Services website, you will find Claim Due Dates, Payment Dates. By clicking this link, you will find short tutorials on how to submit a claim. The lower portion of the claim payment web page contains important information on the accepted status of a claim in the CMP system. Claim payment for schools utilizing electronic fund transfer dates, and the last date to submit a claim for payment. Schools and institutions should utilize electronic fund transfer for fast and safer claim payment. I want to highlight some important points to remember regarding reimbursement claims. Claims must be submitted within the 60 days after the close of the month for which the claim is for. For timely payment, submit claims by the 10th day of the following month the claim is for. Financial Services pays claims on or shortly after the 10th of each month. Financial Services processes for payments claims at least twice a month. The next topic under Permanent Agreement and Attachment A through L we will discuss next is Attachment I, On-Site Review Summary. On-site reviews are required to be completed for all school food authorities with 2 or more feeding sites. The School Food Authority conducts the on-site reviews and looks at meal counting and claiming procedures at breakfast and lunch. It is the school's decision who conducts these reviews, but it should not be the person who is responsible for the meal counting at the site. On-site reviews must be completed by February 1st each year. These reviews must be kept on file at the school or institution. Now that we have reviewed the attachments listed in the section Attachments A through L and Permanent Agreement, we will be discussing more topics under the Forms and Resource homepage. The first topic for review is Paid Lunch Equity, sometimes referred to as PLE. USDA releases annual information on the paid lunch pricing and a paid lunch equity calculation tool for school food authorities to complete in determining the price to charge paid students for lunch. In the information released is also the average paid lunch price for the upcoming school year as determined by USDA. School food authorities complete the tool to determine what increase is necessary for their paid lunch price. When the School Food Authority has completed the PLE tool, it should be printed, saved, and kept on file at the School Food Authority. The next topic to review that ties in with the Paid Lunch Equity calculation tool is meal pricing. Contained in this topic is information on setting meal prices. Meal pricing not only includes student lunches, student breakfasts, but also non-program foods such as a la carte items and adult meals. Another topic of importance is charge policies. All school food authorities participating in USDA School Meals program are required to have a written and clearly communicated policy that addresses unpaid meal charges. The School Food Authority's charge policy should outline the parent guardian's responsibility for providing funds for meals purchased. It should not have a negative impact on the students. A charge policy is not required if the School Food Authority does not charge for student meals, or if all schools in the School Food Authority participate in a special provision, such as the community eligibility. Resources pertaining to charge policies can be found under this topic. Non-public school food authorities and institutions are required to complete the annual financial statement of income and expenses for the previous school year, July 1 through June 30th. Public school food authorities do not have this requirement, as this information is included in each public school's annual financial report submitted to the Nebraska Department of Education each fall. The information is submitted in the CMP system under Applications in the tab called Financial Report. The report is required to be completed by July 15th, following the end of the school year on June 30th. Civil rights is another important topic for school food authorities. School food authorities are required to display the "And Justice for All" poster in a location visible to students, such as in the service or dining area. Annual civil rights training for all staff involved in the school meals program must be conducted. Who, when, and what was presented must be documented. Under the topic Civil Rights is a form that outlines requirements pertaining to civil rights. Attachment H1, Civil Rights Summary, is found under this topic. This attachment is required to be completed by November 15th as part of the verification process. School food authorities are required to report on the CMP website located under Applications the number of food safety inspections completed from the previous school year for each feeding site. This number may be 0, 1, or 2. This information must be completed by October 15th. USDA requires all schools and institutions that participate in the school meals program to have a school wellness policy. This policy must cover the required USDA key areas, but is specific to the school food authority. A school wellness committee must conduct meetings and have a process for evaluating the effectiveness of the wellness policy goals. More information about school wellness policies can be found under this topic. USDA's record retention pertaining to all records supporting the payment of federal dollars to a school food authority is 3 years plus the current. Records pertaining to the school food authority's food safety HACCP plan must be retained for 1 year plus the current school year. All school meals programs and HACCP records are considered property of the school district and must be retained on site. Records must be kept longer if an audit is in process or the school's or institution's record retention policy is longer than that of the USDA policy. Under Quick Links is information on contacting nutrition services. A staff directory is available for download and printing. By clicking on the NSLP and SFSP Specialist tab, you will receive contact information for program specialists working with these two child nutrition programs. The USDA Non-Discrimination Statement. In closing, thank you for your time and attention in viewing School Meals Training for Bookkeepers, other record-keeping requirements, and reports.